Ziggurat of Borsippa, which was an ancient Babylonian temple. All that remains today is the base. And if you get close to it, you can see the bricks, and the bricks are stamped with Sanskrit, which is pretty cool. But a lot of people believe that the Tower of Babel was a ziggurat, which would have looked kind of similar to this. But again, this is only the base. There's no temple still standing from this. So here we are walking towards the Ziggurat of Borsippa, out in the middle of nowhere, still fairly close to the city of Babylon. This was known as a sister city for Babylon. We don't know the exact age of this ziggurat or temple, but we do know that Nebuchadnezzar visited here, and he was moved in his heart after seeing the ruins, in his words on inscriptions that were found, that the Babylonian god Marduk put it on him to rebuild this temple. And so he rebuilt it, and he dedicated it to the chief Babylonian god's son. So the chief Babylonian god was Marduk, and his son was Nabu. And so this temple was built for Nabu. And so Nabu was the Babylonian patron god of literacy, rational arts, scribes, and wisdom. And it's believed that due to the large number of cuneiform tablets and scripts that were found here, that people would bring these as a offering to the Babylonian god Nabu. And so when Nebuchadnezzar rebuilt this temple here, it had 7 different levels that went up, and the temple was on the very top level of this ziggurat. And it's believed that it reached over 300 feet in the air, and it was covered in a blue glaze. And later in this video, you'll see as we walk around that you can still find pieces of this blue glaze on the ground that Nebuchadnezzar had this temple covered in. So several days after we visited this ziggurat, we went to the National Museum in Baghdad. And inside the museum, they actually have a statue of Nabu. And so here's a picture of that statue inside the museum. What's cool is that this site actually ties into a story in the Bible in Daniel chapter 3 with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so let's read that. So Daniel chapter 3 verses 14 through 18 says, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold statue I have set up? I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I have made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what god will be able to rescue you from my power?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." And so in this story, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are refusing to worship the gods of Nebuchadnezzar, they're referring to Marduk and Nabu. And so it was kind of cool being able to stand here at the spot where Nebuchadnezzar had come to worship this god that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow down and worship. Lost the cue. Awesome. And here we are walking up towards the base of the ziggurat. We've got our tour guide right in front of me. And you'll notice as we walk up, there's pieces of bricks, potentially pottery, and stamped cuneiform on the ground, just strewn everywhere. And it's just really cool thinking that everywhere you look, there's these items laying on the ground that are thousands of years old.
Everything. By the way, this is all a solid building. There's no halls or rooms. It's a big solid building, and then the temple would be on top. So every city at that time, they had they wanted to make a big building that like towering above the city. It gives like a good visual connections between the Babylonians and their god, the local god, Nabu, and a reminder, a daily reminder to the king's authority, the god's authority on them. There was a river, by the way. It goes from here to the Euphrates, but it's shifted away. They used to take the statue of. You can see the bricks were kind of on the temple now.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can kind of see the square.
Yeah, they're squares.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can see like the remaining of the bricks here.
Uh-huh.
But again, they wanted. Usually they use mud bricks for the temples because they want something like, because it's holy. They believe like people are made of also the mud, so they don't use fire brick for the temple, only for other buildings like the Ziggurat and palaces.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, there's some writings here. That's cool. We'll go to the place.
Yeah, we'll get the really good ones, but I just want to show you guys they're literally all over the place.
I was not expecting this ziggurat to be as large as it was, at least the base, because from far away, it doesn't look this big at all, and even this video doesn't do it justice for how large it truly is.
So every like 1 meter, there is a layer of like a mat from the reed. It's between the bricks, and it helps the building to be more stable.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the layer. We'll see it clearly in other ziggurats.
So here we are making it to the very top of the base of the Ziggurat of Borsippa. Some people believe that this is the location of the original Tower of Babel. And this is due for a number of reasons, including that the initial tower that was here before Nebuchadnezzar rebuilt it, it was never completed. The top part wasn't finished out. It was also ambitious in size for its day, that it could have, in their eyes, reached the heavens. And lastly, in ancient inscriptions, we see that this tower was known as the Tongue Tower. And from that, you can see people making the connection between the Tongue Tower and different languages coming from the Tower of Babel story in the Bible. As you walk around the base of this structure, it becomes more evident of just the sheer volume of these mud bricks that were used in building this ziggurat. And Nebuchadnezzar was known for his building projects all across his kingdom, and they used these same bricks for those projects. And now, with this information in mind, let's go back to Daniel chapter 3, because I believe there's another connection that could be made to the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in regards to these bricks. And so Daniel chapter 3, verses 19 through 20 say, Nebuchadnezzar was so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he ordered some of the strongest men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. And so, thinking through these 2 verses, and just the sheer number of bricks that would have had to have been made for this structure along with other structures within the kingdom of Babylon, some people have made the argument that the fiery furnace was actually a brick kiln that they used to make these bricks. And so it's kind of cool thinking that these bricks could have come from the same furnace that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into, even though there's no way to know if this is the case or not. So on our walk down, I came across a piece of cuneiform that was stamped onto a brick, and you'll see these just strewn all over the ground. A lot of them aren't stamped, but you'll find a good number of them that are. It is important to note that you definitely do not want to take these artifacts from the sites, because if you get caught, you could face the death penalty. There were 2 British tourists recently who were sentenced to 15 years in jail for trying to smuggle artifacts out of the country. As we continue to walk around, you'll see here that there was a piece of blue glaze that I found, and you'll see this all over the ground around the ziggurat, and this is what covered the temple. You also see here too, we've got a bunch of pieces of bricks that were stamped with cuneiform. And here you'll just see a bunch of pieces of broken pottery. And this wraps up our tour to the Ziggurat of Borsippa, one of the coolest places I would say in Iraq. So if you ever get the chance to go, this is definitely a must.